It's Christmas. Christmas is my favorite holiday. This has now taken the lead. How do you even put into words what we've seen and what it's meant? And you know, being in the stands for the clincher when Cal Raleigh hit the home run was unlike anything I've experienced. And then watching this, going into this series, obviously there's apprehension. You're going up against one of the best offenses in all of baseball, not just the American League. I mean, I was going through and looking at every offensive category, from the basic average on-base percentage runs to the sabermetric categories, and they're top 5 in everything. I mean, it was a very imposing lineup. You're in what Jeff Passan called the best baseball venue in all of the playoffs, the toughest. So it felt like, all right, you go in as the underdogs, let's see how it goes. Hopefully they get one, maybe they can get it to game 3. And for them to get down like they did and have everything go wrong the way that it was. I mean, Robbie Ray had a good first inning and then just fell apart. Paul Sewald comes in and looked disheveled. He's sweating, he's plunking guys, there's a pass ball with Cal Raleigh. I mean, nothing felt right. It felt like, all right, not our day. Let's hope game 3 is a different outcome. And then for them to do what they did in the manner that they did is unbelievable. It still feels surreal.
How about the two guys who are the heroes on Saturday being two guys you've talked about a lot this year, maybe not in the best ways? Adam Frazier and J.P. Crawford.
Yeah, you know, what's funny is on Friday we were talking about who's the X factor going to be? You know, who do you think steps up that we're not counting on? So you couldn't say Ty France, you couldn't say Julio or Mitch, the obvious guys. It had to be, you know, a Dylan Moore, it had to be a Toro, it had to be a Luis Torres, somebody that we're not talking about or counting on. And I said Kelnick. I thought, all right, this is going to be a good spot for Kelnick. He could get a hit, he could play some good defense, maybe this is where he busts out. And Dave said J.P. Crawford. And you know, but none of us said Adam Frazier, who had 3 hits in that game and the biggest one, you know, that gives them the lead. So, you know, what you hope is that carries over into this series, that there's a different level of confidence with those guys, that take maybe some of the pressure off if they were pressing at all. I mean, it's not like JP roped that ball. That was a little flare in the center field that landed in no man's land, and I'll take it, and it's great, and maybe it leads to more, you know, success. But to see those guys and Santana and really just to see the way they chipped away. You had the Santana home run, but then you still got to a point where you're down by 4 runs in the 8th inning. It's 9-5 in the 8th. You're going, all right, well, at least the score looks more respectable. And they chipped away. They were moving guys along. You know, as Scott talks about, you know, just keep the line moving. And that's not normally how they score runs. That's not really their forte. And to watch them score 5 runs without benefit of a home run. There were no home runs after the Santana one. So for them to chip away, whether it was being walked, whether it was being plunked, whether it was a base hit, however they did it, was really impressive to see. And again, I don't know how many people believe in carryover. Does that carry over into this series? We'll see. But that to me was really, really cool to see them win in that fashion, because usually they mash their way. If they're going to come back, they'll walk. They do that very well. They work the strike zone well, and then somebody hits a home run. They scored 5 runs after the 8th inning, in the 8th on, and they won without benefit of a home run.
So which players jumped out the most to you in Toronto?
Wow, well, Luis Castillo. I mean, Luis Castillo was ridiculous, and it was everything you expected and hoped for when they made the move for him. And I know there was a little apprehension because 2 of his previous 3 starts going into that weren't good. And people were like, oh man, is he gonna have it? What's he gonna do? He was phenomenal. He was absolutely phenomenal. Cal Raleigh just continues just to quietly be that guy who just is becoming more and more reliable, to the point where now you kind of expect it. And it is so weird to think about. This guy was hitting 0.83 to start the year and got sent down. He looked so lost, no timing. He felt like an automatic out when he'd step up to the plate. You're just kind of like, all right, well, this is where the rally ends. And for him to be who he is now, it's a weird thing to see that. I mean, that is an absolute 180. He looked hopeless at the plate. And now you look at him and you're going, yeah, he's going to do something. He's going to do something, whether it's a home run, whether it's a hit. He comes up with a huge double and ends up scoring what turns out to be the winning run on the Frazier double. So he impressed me. Castillo impressed me. You know, it was good to see Mitch and Ty kind of chip in a little bit. They weren't the stars, but they, you know, a couple hits. So, but it was really Luis Castillo for me. That was spectacular. And then Munoz in the first game, absolutely phenomenal, going more than an inning, and then having him gut it out in the second game. He didn't have his stuff. He was not sharp. The slider, it wasn't there at all. But he got out of it. He gutted it out when they needed him most, when Sewald failed, and Castillo comes in and plunks the first guy in the head, and Robbie Ray fell apart. I mean, it felt bad. So to have him come in and do what he did in the second game, even though he wasn't sharp, it was really impressive.
George Kirby got the unexpected save on Saturday. Do you want to see him stick in the bullpen, or would you rather see something like Robbie Ray taking that spot?
Against the Astros, I'd like to see maybe Robbie Ray take that spot. You know, if we're going to go on what these guys have done versus this team this season, nobody has hit Robbie Ray more than the Astros. He's had 3 starts against them. His ERA is 10.97. He's given up, I think, 14 runs, 13 earned runs in just over 10 innings of work combined. He's been brutal against that team, and I don't know, it's just a bad matchup, what have you. But you got 3 starts. It's not one where you could throw it away and go, well, listen, everybody has a rough day. He's had 3 starts and none of them were good. So I wouldn't be opposed to having him come out of the bullpen and go with Kirby, because Kirby is another guy that's just absolutely blown me away with his composure. I keep forgetting he's a rookie. He's a rookie. And his command of the strike zone, his ability to stay calm when he's got traffic on the base paths. I mean, he came into the biggest moment of his professional career as a closer, walks a guy, wasn't getting the benefit of the calls from the ump behind the plate, had some really rough calls where young kid out there could get a little tense with that crowd going berserk and everything. He looked like he has all season. He looked completely unfazed, went out there, he's throwing 99, 98, had his velocity back. I loved it, and I'm just absolutely blown away by that kid. So if we're talking about setting up a rotation for the Astros and you know, the debate is Kirby or Robbie Ray, I'm going with Kirby.
How bad do you want to see the M's beat Houston?
More than I can express in words. There's not a team in professional sports that I sports hate more than the Houston Astros. Not even close. I can't think of one. It used to be the 49ers back when it was Harbaugh and Kaepernick and Crabtree, and that was such a great rivalry and it was fun to hate them. Doesn't exist now. The Astros are here, and everybody else in every other sport is down here. It just is the way that it is. I don't like Bregman. I don't like their announcers. I don't like their fans. I don't like that they cheated. I don't like them. So, and they've had the Mariners' number. I mean, they've even when they were a bad team, they were a problem. They've been a tough matchup. If they were able to win this series, that would feel like the World Series almost. To just the satisfaction of knocking that team out of the postseason would be absolutely delightful, and that's an understatement. I can't wait. Just at least the one game here in Seattle to see how the Seattle fans welcome them to T-Mobile Park is going to be really, really fun.
Next week, do you think we're back here talking about the ALCS?
Man, I so badly want to be back here talking about the ALCS. As much as I hate the Astros, they're really good. They won 106 games this year. They had the second best record in all of baseball behind the Dodgers. I feel dirty saying it. They're a great team. They've got a better roster, if you're being honest. I mean, they've got really no real obvious weaknesses when you look at them. So they should win this series. If you're in Vegas and you're saying, I got to bet my money and I got to get money back on my investment, you're going to bet on the Astros. This is not about the heart, it's about the head. So I welcome the scorn that will come my way from this. If we're here on Monday, I will wear it all, but I feel like the Astros are going to get it. I wouldn't be stunned. The Mariners have something going. There's something different going with this team. They're embracing the underdog role. They just feel like they're going in loose, that they're kind of playing with house money maybe right now, and all the Astros are supposed to win. The pressure's on them. The expectation is on the Astros. So maybe that comes into play. I will not be stunned at all if the Mariners win. Won't be surprised at all. But if I had to bet, if I had to put my own money on it, I'd probably have to bet on the Astros.